Hey, Mr. Chestnut, how are you doing?
Good. Mr. Griffith?
Yes, sir.
Hey, nice to meet you, man. If you'll come
Nice
on
to
in.
meet you.
You'll go ahead and have a seat right there.
Okay. This side or that side?
Yes, sir, right there. How you doing today?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Pretty good. This weather's kind of insane.
Yeah, I know. It looked like such a nice day, and now it's all kind of turning on us. But you know, it's kind of something I've gotten used to over time here for sure.
Definitely. Texas weather's just always
Hit or miss.
Meteorologist is always wrong because it just changes halfway through the day.
Mm-hmm. Have you lived in Texas a long time?
Yeah, I've actually been here my whole life.
Really?
Yeah. You lived here in Texas for?
Actually, not my whole life. I lived in New Mexico for a little bit, so there's that. But yeah, I know, definitely here a long time. Only a couple of years in New Mexico.
Yeah.
So
Came to the better state?
yeah, well, I came back because I originally lived in Texas and moved
Okay.
back out and then moved back in.
So you have family here?
Yeah, I do. I grew up here actually, so most of my family's from Texas.
Good choice, man. Coming back, I'm telling you, Texas.
Yeah, we're kind of spread out all over the state, but we used to own land in some areas, but we sold it off, so we kind of got a hold in Texas for sure.
Okay. Okay. Well, actually, what brings you in today? What do you what do you need my assistance with today?
Okay, so the main reason I came in today is, me and my wife, we have some young kids, and we just kind of want to make sure that we're planning enough for the future for them. They're 3 and 6 years old right now, so one's kind of getting to that point where we're starting to look at some of the upper level schools, and we just kind of want to get a better idea of how to prepare for that and be ready for it.
Okay. Like upper level schools, you mean like later on in college? Or?
Yeah, more later on in college. We're not looking at any private schools or anything right now. We'll probably just keep them in the public system. We're not really kind of on that. Neither of our families really went to private school or anything, so it's not really a necessity for us to do something like that. But we just want to make sure they're taken care of for college for sure.
Okay. Do you have anything set aside yet? Are you like looking to get started in college?
And so we're looking to get started. We haven't started just yet. Right now, we're kind of in kind of a rougher area. My wife is a stay-at-home wife. She takes care of the kids. So we don't have that income coming in right now, and so it's a little bit harder for us to save money.
Okay. And definitely later on, if you come back, we can look at more of the like 529 plans if they were to stay here in Texas. That there's no like minimum contribution on a lot of them, so like you put in what you can help, like what you can manage with, obviously with your wife's income, like not having an income coming in. What exactly is your income coming in for the like annual salary?
So right now I'm looking at about $80,000 a year. I'm working at my law firm right now. It's not a whole lot of money, but we've gotten used to living off of it. And like I said, we want to plan for the children, for their futures, and we just have a tough time kind of saving money right now. So we kind of want to get better about that. I think one of the things that we could definitely do, we haven't really talked about it too much. I definitely have to, talk, maybe convince my wife a little bit on it. Is the possibility of her getting a job. Right now, she kind of takes care of our 3-year-old at home. Our 6-year-old's off in elementary school, so he's taken care of most of the day. But I think once our 3-year-old gets up into kindergarten, then that might be something that we could look at just to kind of boost our savings.
Yeah, definitely. As soon as like your kids are able to go off to school and not have to be like waited on by like at the house by their wife, then definitely a good option to start looking for things like that to help alleviate some of your troubles.
And and one of the things that we have talked about in the past is her getting a part-time job or a full-time job, and then us putting our child into daycare. But we've just come to the conclusion that most of the money would actually go to the daycare, and so it really she would rather be spending that time with our children than working.
Sorry about that, but look into more of a part-time job so that she can get some income, but also have enough time to spend with the kids, so that you're not having to put them into this daycare and then another expense that you have to take care of on top of that.
Yeah.
And then you get to spend more time with your kids.
Mm-hmm.
But, have y'all had any budget or anything? Have y'all like looked at your finances and like?
So we actually haven't started a budget or anything. I kind of do a lot of the money managing. I kind of set her limits on what she can spend each week. I've kind of divided up our paycheck into where I see some of the things. Right now it's kind of hard because we have a decent amount in our savings account, and we have some in our checking account, but most of our savings account right now is saving up towards mine and hers to get married, because we actually haven't had our wedding yet, because we met in college and had kids pretty early, so you know, it just wasn't something that was necessary at the time, but it's something that she wants, and so you know, hopefully it won't cost too much money, but you know, that's where a lot of our money is looking at going to right now.
Okay. Do you have any like student debt from going to law school, or do y'all have any like?
No, so I was fortunate enough to have my parents be able to you know, put me through that and be prepared, so that I could, you know, come out on top. And that's sort of why we want to do the same thing with our kids. We want to make sure that they're prepared for the future and kind of give them some of the same opportunities that we got when we were younger.
Yeah, definitely be able to give your kids better, just the same that you had, because it seems like you had a pretty good situation. Like what do you have any other like liabilities right now, like any kind of debts, you like credit cards?
So we do have some credit card debt. We have about 5,000 outstanding credit card debt. It's on about 3 different credit cards. I'm working on getting that paid off. But you know, right now with, you know, saving towards the, you know, wedding and then you know, the other expenses, kind of, you know, we're kind of tight on the budget right now, so it's not something that I can afford much more than the minimum payment at a time right now.
Okay, and definitely it was something that we can look into in the future with, hopefully I can be a fresh pair of eyes for how you're keeping track of what you can spend per month and all that stuff, like your own budget. Like hopefully I could be a pair of new eyes to be able to come in and like help figure out exactly where you can maybe save more, or if you need to allocate some of those elsewhere. But definitely, since the wedding is a priority for you, that's definitely a top goal to make sure and actually get that. Because if you're kind of tight on money, definitely a good thing is not to compromise that for you. It'll be a big goal on my list of things to try to help you with, to help you plan that, and just be able to look at different ways that we could maybe fund that.
With that. So some of the other, you know, that's not my only debt. You know, there's some other things we have in there. We also have our mortgage on our house. We're about halfway through paying that off right now. We still have somewhere around $150,000 left to pay on it, but you know, we've got $100,000 paid off on it. So you know, we're doing good on that one right now. But you know, when it comes to that, on top of the credit card payments, and then we also have 2 cars that we're still working on paying off. We have part of each of them paid off, but I think we have around $20,000 left to pay off between both of them. So you know, they're fairly newer cars, and we won't have to evaluate that for, you know, probably another 5-6 years, hopefully. You know, barring, you know, a bad situation. But you know, we have like the car payments, the house payment, and then the credit card payment, and then, you know, just the general money we need to live and take care of our, you know, young children. So it's kind of, you know, we're walking that tight line right now.
Yeah, or like off that one salary coming in, and then you have all this, just kind of gets overwhelming and stacks up quite a bit. Are you? Because like the mortgage is kind of something that you kind of pay off over a long time. Like, are any of these debts like really like looming over you, like giving you like a really, like, which one would you say is more kind of weighing on you the heaviest? It's like the cars or like credit cards.
I would think it's the cars right now, because I feel like we have the opportunity to get, if we could get the car payments off our table, then that would bring in a couple extra $100 each month, especially that we could allocate towards some other things, you know, possibly savings, you know, some of our long-term goals that we want to accomplish.
Yeah, and then you could help save for your kids' college education, and maybe pay off your credit cards. And, what are some your long-term goals you just mentioned?
So one of our long-term goals is, you know, we want to wait a few years before we do it. You know, obviously a short-term one is the wedding. We want to try to get that done in, you know, the next 2 to 3 years, depending on how quickly we can save. But when we get to the long-term goals, I think when, you know, our children get to around, you know, our youngest gets probably around 8 or 9, I think we want to start taking like family vacations every year. And so, you know, I kind of want to start a fund for that, or, you know, be prepared to do that and not just put it all on a credit card and have it stacked off on a debt, you know, and just keep stacking those ones up over there. That's one of our bigger long-term goals. I think, you know, when we look at the long-term as well, definitely paying off the mortgage on our house. I don't think we will need to, you know, move houses. We're pretty set up where we are right now, and you know, I've got my firm that I'm at right now, and I can foresee being there for a long time. And you know, we've been in the community for a long time, so we're not really looking at moving. You know, definitely if the opportunity comes up, then you know we would definitely take it. But I think really, you know, the vacation thing and then paying off that mortgage over time would be our good long term goals.
Okay.
And then especially the education goals for the children as well.
And you definitely you more so like to pay off things up front instead of having to go like, oh, I'll take care of it later.
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of want to, you know, not be putting myself in bad situations in the future. I'd rather kind of have the money up front to kind of, you know, like you said up front, to kind of just know that I'm in the, you know, green, I guess is the term.
Yeah, I got you. And then you said paying off your mortgage. Have you looked at refinancing anything?
We've thought about refinancing just because, you know, like I said, we foresee being here for a long time, so it's something we've definitely thought about, and just to you know, lower the burden of the mortgage that we have. But I'm not too sure on some of the aspects of it, you know, how it would affect us in the long haul, or what exactly we might, you know, how we might refinance it, I guess.
Yeah, and definitely that would be something that I could help take care of, help get you ready for it in the future. I would come back and tell you exactly, you know, some rates, if it would actually help to refinance, to take off some interest payments and lower the overall price at the end, or just even lower monthly payments, so then you could free up some more money for you to actually help you with your other goals. And if you wanted to save up a little fund for vacations, or just paying off your cars first, like definitely be an option to look into that, but ultimately it'd be up to you.
Yeah, that's definitely something, you know, I think me and my wife would both be very interested in, is to get an exact number figure on what that refinance would look like, so that we could, you know, see where the rest of the money could go. I know it's also something you could help us out with, is like the budget, and so that would tack on an extra, you know, little bit of money for us to possibly save each month, or you know, have for other things. You know, we would most likely be using it to save. I think right now we're in a good spot in our budget. You know, I think, you know, my wife would definitely have problems if we had to cut back in certain areas, because she's kind of gotten used to a certain lifestyle. And especially if she did start working, you know, she would feel like she deserves some of the things, which she would, especially working. And so I think that would be something that would be hard to look at, is maybe if we went into the budget and cutting back on some of the areas that we're doing now. You know, I don't think that she might agree with some of it.
Yeah, so more so not cutting into like the lifestyle and looking at the future and be like, if we're like the credit card payments, if you're able to pay that off in like the next half a year, and then look at using those funds instead of cutting back on your lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely, it's definitely a way to go. So, is there? Do you have any other goals that you'd like to complete recently or in the near future? Because I know your long-term goals are to like help save your kids' college future and your vacations and getting off the mortgage. But like in your future, like, are you looking at getting a different car or?
No, like I said, I think we can have the cars we have right now. You know, we still have good debt on it. We had not too long ago that we bought them, so I think they'll last us a good while. Hopefully, you know, barring bad situation. But there's a few things maybe in the short term that we would hope to accomplish. Really, we just kind of want to, it would be nice, just because we're living so thin to the wire right now, if I could maybe contribute a little bit more to my 401k. I know right now where I work, they offer 3% match, and with how much we're having to spend on a yearly basis, I'm not quite able to match that, and so I feel like I'm not really taking an opportunity on that one that I'm being given.
Right,
and I want to be prepared for mine and my wife's future, as well as our children. So that's definitely something that's important to me. I feel like we don't have a lot of investments right now, and so that's kind of an area that I would like to expand onto. With some of the funds that we can save, and I think once we're able to accomplish some of the shorter term goals, like the credit card debt and possibly getting the wedding taken care of, then we'll have a little bit more money to allocate towards those areas.
And then, you talk about like your security for your family and your wife, and then like for your cars if anything bad were to happen, like if you need to get a replacement part or something that might come out. Do you have any like assets set aside that are kind of liquid for sort of like a rainy day fund or emergency fund like we?
So right now, mainly the things that we'll have is we have the savings account, which is, we have around 10,000, and most of that is going towards the wedding right now. But if we had to dip into that for a bad situation, we definitely would look at it and probably take the opportunity if we needed to. We have some mutual funds and some investments, but those only total at around 10,000 right now. So it's it's about a match to the savings account, but it's not a whole lot. If something like that were to happen, I feel like we would liquidate almost the whole thing to kind of mitigate that situation.
And then how old are your kids again?
So we have one 3-year-old and one 6-year-old, so they're still fairly young.
Yeah. It's like if we were to have to like wait a couple years to start with the funding with the youngest kid, like as soon as your wife got into college or got a new job, or if she did, after your child was able to be at school and not have to be at home or possibly be in daycare, do you think that would kind of compromise your?
I think it would be fine. If we put one off, I think we want to give them both equal opportunity. So if we're starting ones at 6 years old, we'd probably start the other ones at around 6 years old as well, just so that by the time they get up into the college range, then they would have about the same amount in each one, and one's not given more opportunity than the other. We don't want to pick favorites or anything.
Definitely understandable coming from like I was the youngest in my family, so like I kind of got the baby thing, and so it often can time like cost them to stay in the family. So completely understandable that you want to do that, and it might actually help with like the finances instead of starting both at the same time and starting it like if like we had to push it back to when they're at 8 or something like that, and then just it'd be pretty.
Yeah, and I think especially if once they're in school and stuff, and hopefully I can convince my wife to start working. Depending on what she's doing all day, I'm definitely probably gonna strive for it just because we're cutting it so close right now. And I feel like with the extra income, it could possibly lower our retirement age, or also give us some more money for our kids to have in the future. But it's kind of gonna depend on what she thinks and how she goes. She's gotten used to being kind of a stay-at-home mom now. But we both went to the same college. That's where we met, and hopefully she will. We can put her degree to use as well.
Definitely a good idea. And as our time's kind of coming to a close, like here in a little bit, just kind of getting out there. Like, do you have any other questions, or do you have any things that we haven't talked about yet that you'd like to?
A lot of my, I guess, concerns are regarding the budget, just because I feel like with my wife not here, that's going to be one of her biggest concerns. And I know we haven't drafted out like a rough budget or anything, but how do you think we would go about figuring out where expenses need to be cut, or figuring out where certain money needs to go to get our savings a little bit boosted, or something like that?
I would definitely, of course, talk to your wife first, because we can only do so much here, and then it's up to y'all two to actually figure out what your budget would be together. But definitely have a talk with her if you want to. We can have our next session in a few weeks or so, or a week. If you can consider to come in, then we can actually have a talk, and as a group, and I can help actually like write out a budget for y'all, and like maybe help kind of not compromise, but come in there and help find a healthy medium, and be like not like I'd help like with fresh eyes, being able to see and look in from
like a
outside.
third party.
Yeah, so it won't just be it won't feel like you're attacking her and what she's spending, or she's not looking at you and being like, well, why are you spending this here? And then I can be there and just kind of help you be kind of objective towards it and help y'all find what a good middle is.
Kind of like level out the tension, I guess.
Yeah, I'll be able to help help ease like any conflicts that come up with finances, because I know sometimes in relationships it can be kind of hard to talk about finances, or whenever you do, sometimes there can be just some kind of like tension, just because it is kind of especially not because of your situation, but with being low and close to the line, actually like living off a lower income than you probably desire, it can cause some tension, and just kind of not cause disdain, but just be kind of hard to like look at each other and be able to figure it out easily, and it can cause some conflicts. But
yeah, that's definitely one of the reasons that I didn't take her into this first meeting. I feel like there's a lot we talked about that some of the things I said that could possibly upset her, some things that we could argue on for sure. And so I feel like it's good to come in here and get an idea of where everything's going right now, and so that me and her can kind of have a talk about it before we actually come in together, and maybe I can have her kind of expecting some of the things that we may be talking about in future meetings.
okay, do you have any other issues you'd like to bring up, or kind of running low on?
No, I think that's all I have for you today, but thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, definitely, man. I will be calling you here in the next week or so and getting with you and try to set up another time if you see you want to meet again and actually bring your wife in or just anything like that. I'll just call and check up on you and see how you're doing, man.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.